We're very concerned that the department appears to be caught off guard despite months of time to prepare. It's quite a revelation that out of 1,600 teacher absences, half of them for quarantine issues and such, 400 of them went unfilled, meaning there was no substitute to fill those positions. The superintendent today asked for patience and understanding. How much more time do they need to prepare? When it comes to understanding, the Omicron variant understands that it's easy to take advantage when systems like the Hawaii Department of Education are not prepared. With that, we'll take questions.
When we had asked about contingency plans and maybe a threshold, many of the superintendent's responses was, oh, well, it depends. Every situation is different. It depends on the school. What's your response to that?
While it's true that every school and every school community might have different needs, the teachers there have a certain protocols and procedures that could easily be followed. That's why they say that they have their health and safety guidance that allows for everything. We can definitely come to an agreement that if the state has to move a certain school or a certain complex to a certain method of instruction, that there are guidelines set forth. It's not just going to be willy-nilly. These are things that affect the working conditions of our teachers and need to be negotiated. And we are just interested in making sure that our students have the best education possible through this whole ordeal.
Oh, so, oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. We had a couple folks
With their
hands up. So yeah, you can put your name in the chat. Yeah, can you put your name in the chat or just raise your hand and I'll call on you guys. Sorry, it's crazy today. We know. Diana Ko from KITV. Why don't you unmute yourself and ask? Hi, Diane.
Thank you so much. So my question is then, because we had such a hard time getting any sort of answer out of him, we didn't get an answer out of him. What do you think the contingency plan should be? Do you have some broad suggestions?
Well, definitely teachers should be able to move to, sorry, let me start again. We think that schools need that flexibility and teachers should have input into how the school makes some of those changes. If we need to move to hybrid, are we giving teachers enough time to prepare? Because it's not like just flicking a switch and boom, we're all online or we're in some hybrid mode. There needs to be time to prepare. And those are the kinds of things we've been asking the department to discuss, that they refuse to sit down and negotiate with us. We know that the Omicron variant may not be the last variant. We're hearing that there are new variants popping up around the world and they may come, which will require some type of planning, some type of, we want our students to be able to have what they need, and they don't even have devices at many of our schools right now. And so to be able to prepare for that, you need a plan, and they don't have a plan right now that we've seen.
So, but do you have some suggestions? Like if you said you wanted to talk to them, so,
yeah, so we would we would like a few days to prepare to be able to change from in-person model to a hybrid or an online model. We want to make sure that there's testing available. They talked about there's 20 more Oahu schools that are going to get rapid tests. That's not enough. There should be rapid tests available in all of our schools, because if a teacher sees a student who's coughing or something, they should be able to send that student right away to get an immediate rapid test. Right now, a lot of the testing that they're talking about is the type that you have to send it away to the mainland to get results in 3 days. That is not appropriate. That is not enough to make sure that our schools are safe. To just say that our schools are safe and that we have this plan doesn't actually look at what the reality is on the ground.
Thanks, Diane. Next with her hand up was Esme Infante from the Honolulu Star Advertiser.
Oh, hello. All right. So I was curious about Osa's reaction to the part, and I think I can predict already the part where the superintendent said, we are talking with HSTA and HGA and UPW about all of this. That I imagine is not what you guys would say is happening. And then also, what do you think should be the threshold for, because I mean, so many, we're getting this increasing flood of stories about mainland schools and districts going to virtual, looking at the numbers, and at what point do you think the schools should go, whoa, no? I am wondering if teachers are already saying, hey, we feel unsafe.
Teachers are saying that they feel unsafe, that is for sure. We're seeing school districts across the country who are saying this is unsafe, we need to move to a different model. HSTA, we're not the Department of Health. We don't have those kind of specific numbers. Those are what should be developed by those who are in that field. With regards to meeting with the department, yes, the unions are meeting with the department, expressing our concerns. They listen, they say, thank you very much. And then we move on. They're not addressing necessarily the concerns that we're bringing to them, which is the problem.
Thank you very much. Esme, next in order, I think, was Suvan Lee from Honolulu Civil.
Yes. Hey, Kiyoki. Hi, Osa.
Hi.
Hey, so the thing about these teacher absences, 800, actually like 1,600 in just the first 2 days of school, that's quite a lot. What's happening? Are students in combined classrooms? Are they just being unsupervised? What are you hearing? Like, what's actually going on if there's no adult supervision instructors in class?
Definitely. Sometimes classes do have to be combined, or you're pulling out what are called non-classroom teachers. For example, our counselors are being pulled from doing their job in a time where students need this social emotional learning and their needs met. Counselors are being pulled and say, hey, you need to go and babysit a classroom. The security guards are being told you need to go and babysit a classroom.
Mhm.
That is very inappropriate. Security guards have a job to do. Counselors have a job to do. And so to have this model where there are so many teachers out, for the department to say, send your kids in, and then you send your kid to a classroom that doesn't have a teacher, what's the point of that?
Just really quickly follow up. Any guesses as to that second batch of teachers who are out for non-COVID related reasons, as Hayashi said earlier? He didn't provide a specific reason for those absences, but any guesses as to why?
I can't be sure why. I do have a guess. One of those guesses that there may be teachers who are stuck on the mainland who can't get back because the airlines are having issues bringing them back. I will just say that that is a guess. There could be many other issues. The teacher might not be out for COVID, but their child might be out for COVID. Their child might be a close contact. And so then they have to remain home to be with their child. There's a myriad of different reasons that could be the case.
Thanks, Suvan. Next is Jolani again. Jolani Martinez from Hawaii News Now.
Also, we had asked about testing, and as you may have heard, some private schools have already gone to require testing everybody on campus. When we asked the superintendent, if he plans to require testing for all, he says no, they're keeping that voluntary. What do you think about that?
Unfortunately, if we make testing mandatory for all students, we're going to lose a lot of our students. And really, our main goal is to make sure that all of our students get the education that they need. And so to mandate testing at this point in time would disenfranchise too many students.
And Diana Ko put into the chat a question. She said, if a security guard is teaching, she puts that in quotes, how are the kids learning? I think some of these folks haven't been familiar with this situation. This has been for a while, right? Can you explain what happens when they put all the kids into a cafeteria or auditorium or whatever?
So that's why I characterize it as babysitting, because basically they're just sitting in a cafeteria or in a room with an adult there watching over them. They're not providing a lesson. They're not doing anything educationally related, unfortunately, unless there was some type of worksheet that could be handed out. There's no learning going on.
Thank you. And Jolani has a follow-up, I believe, followed by Suvan.
Osa, have they communicated as far as how many classrooms they've actually had to close since the semester started?
Unfortunately, that data has been hard to come by from the department. As you've struggled to get information from the department, so have we. And like I said, I was told yesterday that there was nothing out of the ordinary with regards to teacher absences. And then today we hear that that actually wasn't the case.
And Suvan?
I mean, despite the surging number of COVID cases right now, we do know that Omicron leads to far fewer hospitalizations and severe illness. Where should that be in the conversation and this constant dialogue between the DOE, HSTA, and us, the public? Where does that fit in as far as actually asking ourselves those tough questions? When should a school actually close? When should a classroom actually close? I mean, a high number of cases doesn't necessarily correlate to illness spreading throughout the hallways. So what's your take on that, Osa, as far as whether we should include that piece of this into these questions about closures and all?
Well, anytime we can keep people out of our hospitals, that's very helpful for them because they are dealing, despite the Omicron not being as potent necessarily, a lot of people who've been vaccinated, fully vaccinated, and booster shot have come down with Omicron. So a lot of them maybe are not going into the hospitals, but we still see on the neighbor islands where they have very limited capacity that they are starting to get fuller, and the anticipation is that this surge will continue as the cases from the New Year's holiday continue, and that's very concerning. And anything we can do to slow this down is what's important right now, because we're at double what we were in Delta, and in Delta we were very concerned, right? I understand that the hospitalizations are lower, but they're not zero.
Thanks, Yvonne. And in the chat, again, from Diana Ko at KITV, she asks, please address the learning loss. Math and reading levels were lower among 3rd to 8th graders this fall nationally. Are you worried about this worsening?
We're worried about students not getting the educations that they deserve. And teachers are doing everything they can to get students to where they need to be. It is a difficult job, but that is the role that our public school teachers do. And if we are, as teachers, uncuffed and allowed to do what we need to do, oftentimes we can get it done. But there are so many things that are put onto teachers' plates. And now having to help supervise other teachers' classes, or even just with so many kids out, having to create lessons, and the kids are coming in and going out there. And now the 5 days as the 10 days, that makes things a little more scary for our teachers. It's just very, very difficult. And our teachers are doing their absolute best to make sure that our students get the education that they need.